Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Jenna. I'm also known as EMPTYHANGER on Poshmark and on Instagram. So what I want to share with you guys today is my journey into this whole reselling business. I am a full-time reseller. This is what I do as my job and my income, but it definitely didn't start out that way. And honestly, when I started, if you had told me 2 years ago that this was going to be my full-time job, probably wouldn't have believed you. Like, I had no idea that this could be my job and I could have so much fun doing it every day, but it's the reality, and I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So what I want to share with you guys is my journey into reselling, kind of how I got started, my backstory, and then on this channel, hopefully my content will help you pursue your dreams, whether it be reselling to make a little bit of extra money on the side as a hobby. Maybe you want to be a full-time reseller. Maybe you just have a bunch of crap in your house that you want to get rid of. You know, I'm going to teach you what I know as far as tips and tricks to selling online. Okay, and I sell primarily through two platforms. My main platform is Poshmark. That's where I started, and that is where I primarily sell. However, I also recently started selling on eBay. I sell on both platforms, but what I want to talk to you is kind of how I got started. When I first started, I was looking for a way to basically pare down my closet but make some money. I had worked in the retail industry right out of college, and I was in it for about 4 years. And I had acquired quite a bit of clothing because in that industry, you know, you have to represent a certain look, but let's be real, I love to shop. So I had bought a lot of clothing. It was sitting in my closet. I wasn't wearing it anymore, but I knew it was good stuff, and I knew I could get some money for it. So I had looked into different things around town. I had looked at, you know, Plato's Closet and different consignment shops, and just thinking, oh, okay, maybe I can make some money this way. But it wasn't really, you know, anything good. It was just like basically pennies. So I turned to the internet and I Googled how to make money selling your clothing online, and up came this app, Poshmark. Okay. So I had signed up for Poshmark in December 2014, and I remember making a Facebook post, and it was like, has anyone ever sold their clothing on Poshmark before? Does anyone know what this app is? And I think I got like 1 or 2 responses from my friends, and then nothing, and then I kind of forgot about it. So I took that first step, and then it was like crickets. Okay, so fast forward to August of 2015, I was taking a little bit of a break from my job. I still was working, but it was like I had taken a little step back, and I had a little bit of time. So I returned to the idea of selling my clothing online, and I opened up Poshmark. I had signed up for the name EMPTYHANGER, so there I was. That was my brand. I have no idea how I even came up with that name. It just came to me. And yeah, I opened up the app and I posted my first couple items. Now, everything was my own clothing, so it fit me. I actually would have my mom take photos of me in the clothing. I thought, okay, let me just model it. I know there's different ways to sell items, but I thought, okay, I'm gonna model it and just see how it goes. And I got a really good response. I mean, I sold quite a bit of stuff my first few weeks of selling, and I was really surprised. I was still learning like the ins and outs of Poshmark. If you're familiar with it, you know there's like a whole sharing aspect and a following aspect, and I'll talk about that later in my channel. But for now, you know, was just selling my clothing on Poshmark. Was doing that in addition to working. You know, I was starting to ramp back up my work schedule. So I was just doing it basically after work and on the weekends, and I was having pretty consistent sales. One day, one of my coworkers, she wanted to go to Goodwill on her lunch break and check out some stuff for her new home she had just bought. So she actually suggested, hey, let's go to Goodwill on our lunch break. I want to look at, you know, some stuff I can redo for my house. And I hadn't been in a Goodwill in so long, at least high school. You know, I used to go looking for like old t-shirts and stuff like that, but I had no idea what a thrift store was like these days. And when we walked in, I was looking through the clothing and I found so much cute stuff. And she's the one that actually said to me, hey, I think you should buy that and put it on your Poshmark and see if you can sell it. Like, I didn't even think about at the time that there was this whole business and I could make money reselling clothing online as far as like other clothing. I was just doing it as a way to make extra money for myself. So thank you, Katie, for telling me that I should sell something on Poshmark from Goodwill because you started this whole journey for me. So I, had taken home that item, and I remember it. It's a Forever 21 like elephant print blouse. Like, I would probably never even pick up Forever 21 now, but hey, it's old. So anyways, I picked up that item. I had listed it, and it sold pretty quickly. And that really began the whole journey of, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can thrift stuff and resell it. So I started buying some stuff here and there. And the thing is, I wasn't spending any extra money. I didn't invest any money into the business besides what I was making from selling my own clothing. So for me, like, this business really evolved naturally because I didn't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to put X, Y, and Z amount of money into reselling and try this out as a business. It was just something like I did as a hobby, and then it kind of evolved from there. So, like, to me, that's even more cool. And I remember this was like, August, September, October of 2015, and on Poshmark, there was this little banner at the top, and it said, Posh Fest, tickets available. It was in San Francisco, which I had never been to. And I turned to my mom and I said, hey, like, let's go to this Posh Fest thing. I think it would be fun to go to San Francisco. I didn't really know much about the app. And so we flew out there, and oh my gosh, Posh Fest, like, kind of changed my way of thinking, and really maybe turning this hobby into a business. So Posh Fest is the user conference, the annual user conference for Poshmark, and it's where I think last year it was like 250 to 500, I don't remember the exact number, but it's where the users gather and meet with the staff and the developers of this app and kind of collaborate, talk about their experiences, talk about the ways they're using it to improve their business. And basically it was like one huge motivational weekend for me. So I attended Posh Fest in November of 2015, and I was like hooked. I remember sitting there and seeing some of the speakers on the stage thinking, like, I want to be like them. I want to have this business in resale and fashion, like something really exciting. And the fact that it was all online and I could do it on my own time was really cool. I came back home after Posh Fest, and I kind of continued what I was doing, listing different items and selling things and shipping them and doing it while I was working full time. So I worked, Monday through Friday, your 9 to 5, your corporate job. I do remember sitting there sometimes at my desk. I had a lot of phone calls I would have to make at my job, and I would sit there and I would be like typing and talking / sharing my closet. So I know it's like kind of starting to take over my life. And I started really making a substantial amount of sales. So I was really making a good amount of money. It was in addition to my income, but at one point it started to overtake how much I was making at my full-time job, and this is while I was working. So, my job, it was something that I enjoyed doing. I was at the time an admissions manager at a cosmetology school, so I enjoyed it because I was helping students follow their journey and their dream. But here I was kind of preaching to the students, like, do what you love, follow your dreams. And I was just sitting here like doing my day-to-day job, like doing okay, but not feeling so totally satisfied. And here I had this side hobby that was like so exciting to me. So one day, I was at work, and, something frustrating happened, like we all have happen at work. And I decided, okay, this is it. Like, I think I want to do Poshmark full time. So I talked to my family. I said, hey, I want to try this out full time. Like, will you support me if something happens financially and I need to look for another job, whatever. I just wanted to know I had support. And of course, my family, who is totally awesome, they all supported me. They said, yes, do it. They could tell it was something I really enjoyed doing. So February of 2016, I left my full-time job and I became a full-time reseller. In February 2016, when I decided to go full-time, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, this industry, that's the thing about it that I love, is you can try different things. You're your own boss. You can follow your own schedule. You do have to be very dedicated and self-motivated, I will say, because there's no one else that you answer to. But that's, what I love about this business. So I became full-time February 2016 and just started selling. I mean, the key to me is always listing and selling. And I was learning the whole time, you know, what should I buy? What should I not buy? What do my customers like? What do they not like? And all of this I was doing while on Poshmark. That's like my main platform. Now, I did decide in June of 2016 to look into eBay. I wanted to look into other options, just diversify, because Poshmark, I would say it's more targeted to like a millennial generation, and you know, the customers are a little younger and trendy, and you know, that's great. That's a lot of what my clothes were and what I was shopping for. But while I was out, I was also finding these other brands and styles, and at the time men's wasn't allowed on Poshmark, and I was finding really cool men's items. So I looked into eBay and I decided to sign up and start selling on eBay. Now, eBay was a whole different beast. Like, to me, Poshmark is one of the things I love about it is it's so user-friendly, it's so easy to list, it's so easy to ship. Like, when I started doing eBay, I had to learn like a whole different side of the business. So I'm still learning. Well, I'm still learning everything, but I started doing eBay just like to diversify and then also be able to sell towards those other markets. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. So I am on both Poshmark and eBay. I will say, like, Poshmark, it's my main bay. You know, Poshmark is like my main source of income and where I tend to have the most sales and followers. However, eBay is definitely like starting to catch up, and I love it for different reasons. And we'll get into that in future videos, but yeah, I kind of evolved from basically selling my own clothing to then becoming a full-time reseller. And like the turning point or the full circle, I guess, for me was this past year when Poshmark contacted me to speak at Posh Fest 2016. So, you know, I had gone in 2015. I had been totally inspired and motivated by all these, you know, strong women and entrepreneurs. And here I was, like, just less than 1 year later, and I was speaking at that same conference about, you know, increasing your sales and how to build a following and things like that. So I feel even since then, like, so much has changed for me in this business, and even finding since then, like, the Instagram community and the YouTube community, I have learned so much. And what I want to do is share my knowledge with you. And you know, the way that I do things, it's just one way of doing things. There's so many different ways that you can be successful in this business. So it's just about figuring out what works for you. And I've kind of figured out what works for me, but I will tell you, I will do one thing one day and the next day I'm going to try something totally different, because you always want to be evolving and changing. And that's one thing I felt like in previous careers. I had all these ideas and I always wanted to try new things and, you know, let's try something different. But in the corporate world, like, you're kind of stifled and you have to follow these particular norms, and working for yourself, you don't. So for me, I think this is like the perfect industry. I love fashion. I love clothing. I like selling stuff online and, you know, making people happy. And it's just a really unique opportunity. So with this channel, what I want to do is share, you know, my tips and tricks, what I've learned, what mistakes I've made. I'm still making mistakes all the time, but I want to help you guys. So if there's ever stuff that you have questions about, you know, definitely comment, message me, and let's talk about it. I'm going to keep it 100% real. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button below. If you want to find out more and follow along in my reselling journey and follow my tips and tricks, please hit subscribe. You're going to be notified of all the new videos that I post. I have a ton of ideas for content. You know, I probably will do some haul videos, you know, that's very like typical in this industry, but I want to kind of focus more on tips and how-tos and really helpful videos, helpful content that's gonna help you build your business, because I think that there's enough in this world for everyone to be successful. And this industry, like the online shopping industry, is growing at a crazy rate, and now's really the time to kind of get in on it. So again, please subscribe down below and stay tuned for my next video. Thanks.